Now then, if you would like to raise your hands, that would be good. The first person to ask a question is Lily Snake Dog Snake.
Yeah.
What an odd name. I need to talk to your mother about that, don't I? I mean, come on.
I like snakes and dogs. That's why.
I had a pet snake, and you know I've got a pet dog. So perfect.
There we go.
Where is he? There he is. Okay, so Lily, you should be unmuted. Everybody else, if you could mute yourselves, I'll go through and see if we can do that. There we go. So, Lily, do you have a question about personality or about anything at all for Bevis?
What would you recommend? Is there a method you would recommend to get into the right learning attitude?
Oh, okay. So what a great question. Yes, there is something that I'd recommend to get into the right learning attitude or a learning zone. So if you're about to do some learning and to get into the right zone, what I can really recommend is finding a spot above eye level and looking at that one spot and focusing all your attention on one spot for about 30 seconds. What that does is it helps calm, it lowers your blood pressure, lowers your heart rate, and effectively what it does is it clears your mind. So it's something me and Dale both learned in neurolinguistic programming. It's a simple way. And if you ever have a test at any point, I'm not a big fan of testing, but if you ever have a test, definitely the right thing to do before you start the test. Spend 30 seconds looking at one spot. You'll notice that your peripheral vision, actually, your vision field opens up and you relax. And the thing is about learning and also about downloading what you know, you need to be in a relatively relaxed state of mind. I say relaxed, but you don't want to be frustrated or stressed or agitated. So it clears the mind. So I absolutely love that question because that's something. I've got a friend of mine who's a personal trainer, and he didn't have a very good experience at school, and he was panicking about his personal training test. Yeah. And he learned that technique, and he said, "Bevis, it was amazing. I sat down, I did what you told me. I looked down, and I just wrote all the answers down. It didn't cause me any issues. Whereas because he'd had so much of a bad experience from tests at school, he was really panicking about it. That one simple thing really helped him. So that would be my tip on that."
That's awesome. That's great. Okay, another question. Thank you, Lee. That was a super question. We've got another question. Oh, do we have a question from Kieran Whale? What were these odd names? My word. Kieran Whale, do you have a question, buddy? No? Okay, not yet. Something may come to you. My fighter pilot, do you have a question? You know who you are, Mr. Fighter Pilot.
What would be good advice for a family of four?
Okay, so good question. What specifically do you want to know in terms of what advice for what?
So, how to bring the family together and help each other out.
Powerful question. Wow.
Yeah, that is a good question. So, I think there's a number of elements, number of things I could say here. What I would say as a start is that having some time together to talk and to agree things. So one of the things, I'll be honest with you, one of the things that's happened with this lockdown period is I have been at home having dinner with my family at evening time every night. Now that never used to be the case. And that's made a big difference for me personally, got me thinking about how I run my business. So I think there's a number of things. Each individual within a family can have some time to reflect and think, what can I do? But also, I think one of the important things is to create that time together, a time together as a whole family, because that can be quite rare. And there's an opportunity to make sure you've got that time together, and also have things like family meetings, where you agree things as a family, because there's a lot of learning that goes on just from doing that. But if the thing is with those family meetings, if you do have a family meeting, you have to give the youngest person in the room as much bandwidth and as much respect as the most senior in age terms, because and in our family, Ellie's 5, she will get as much airtime, probably more, so to make sure she feels heard, because sometimes younger members of the family don't feel heard, and that's ultimately what we all want to feel like we're heard.
What a Liam, epic question. And I think that's really cool as well, because sometimes we're working with a family recently and everything's all good now. There was a time where the youngest member of the family was asking questions and showing and doing this, and then the older, the matriarch of the family thought, oh, you know, it's just silly kiddie questions. So yeah, okay, put it on the fridge. Yeah, okay, that sort of mentality. When actually, that's the most important age to give it all of your attention to hear, because what the child will do is if the child has learned that speaking and asking questions and asking for help is unimportant because they're not getting attention for it, when they turn into, I don't know, a 16-year-old and they feel really down or they feel really anxious about tests and stuff, they won't ask you, or they will have learned that asking doesn't help. So at that age, it's crucial to give as much bandwidth to the youngest as well as the oldest and everybody. So that was a wicked question, Liam. That was absolutely amazing. Zach. Oh, sorry, Bev. So you're going to finish off that?
I was just going to finish off, yeah, because I think one of the other things from those family meetings is that sometimes parents feel guilty about taking time for themselves.
Yes.
And if you've got parents who have well, we've all got a bit of introvert, they will need some time just themselves, for quiet time for them. And what I know from working with parents is if they can be honest with children and say, yeah, actually we need a bit of time on our own for this reason, then they're much more engaged with as a parent and with listening and being enthusiastic from having that time. So it's about getting the balance right for everybody.
Oh, and yeah, that's a great answer. It's one of the hardest things, getting the balance right, because we don't know what is too much or what is not enough, do we? But it's about testing the water.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now we have Zach. Zach, is your mic working yet, bro? No, it's not. Okay. All right, Zach, can you talk? I've just unmuted you. Can you say something?
Yes.
Zach! This is the first. Let's give Zach a round of applause. Yes!
Good man.
First time Zach's mic's worked. Zach, let me hear that half Australian, half English accent, young man. Go for it.
Who is your role model?
Wow, is that question to me? Because I'm sure Dale's got some thoughts on this as well. So this is a funny one. So when I was younger, I was really into my sport, and I had role models in cricket. So I wanted to be a professional cricketer. In fact, one of the reasons why I do what I do is I counted professional cricket trials and I didn't turn up because I was too afraid of failing. So 10 years later on, when I'd been on a personal development journey and learned about what was happening, I was like, oh, okay. But my role models now is that there are a few authors that I absolutely love. There's a chap called Deepak Chopra, who's a wonderful author. There's a guy called Eckhart Tolle, who I love. Wayne Dwyer. There's a wonderful female author, Gabby Bernstein, author of the book The Universe Has You Back. So those are the sorts of people who are my role models at the moment. And going back to something Dale said earlier, I think that actually I'm also learning a lot from being a parent. Like my 5-year-old daughter and my 8-year-old son are also role models, because you know what, they are the happiest people I know. And I think the happiness is often, I've learned, the happiness is why are children often happier? Because they're actually, this is the thing, it's because of learning. Because everything's new, everything's about learning. So if you guys can remember that if you'll keep learning, and because I got to 20 when that's it, I'm never learning ever again, I'm going to switch off, and I did for 10 years, and that didn't help. Whereas if you can keep learning and keep following your passions, you'll be happier and more fulfilled for your whole of your life. So that was a very long-winded answer, but yeah, I love those authors are some of my favorite people.
Wicked. That's great question. And Zach, it's so wonderful to hear your voice at last, my friend. Wicked. Okay. Next on the list, we have Ali and Ethan and Boo. Do you have a question, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Hello.
Boo just wants to say hi. My question is, I work
in a secondary school with lots of kids that have additional needs. And yes, Baby Shark's lovely. But what I was going to say was a lot of them suffer with a lot of exam anxiety.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you had any other kind of tips, like the one you were saying about looking at the dot for 30 seconds, because a lot of them really struggle to get in.
Yes. So definitely anybody with anxiety associated with tests and exams, teach them that peripheral vision exercise as a technique to use in the moment before an exam or a test. And some really, and the key word here is simple, some really simple mindfulness exercises, because if they're complicated, it won't happen. So I've talked with my son around, we call it Ronaldo breathing, because he's into his football. So Ronaldo breathing, and the great thing is you got footage of Ronaldo doing this before he takes a free kick. Breathe in through his nose, and then out through his mouth. So a really simple breathing technique to help people, because if children are focusing on the breathing, they're not, the thought brainwave activity slows down slightly, and that's the same for us adults as well. So there's so many different breathing exercises out there, so find something that works for you and that you can explain really comfortably. My favorite one actually is a really simple one where you breathe out, and as you breathe out you let the breath end, and then you don't breathe in until the point when you feel like you want to breathe in, and that really quietens everything down. But just focusing, breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, nice and slow, breathing from the belly, will certainly help quieten the brainwave activity down.
Awesome question. Here's Ali. Thanks for that. That was a quality answer as well. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, breathing, so underrated. So underrated. It's so important. Becky, do you have a question?
Hi, Dale.
Hi.
I haven't actually got Alex here today. I've got his little brother here instead, because Alex refused to do it this morning, unfortunately. Even after a bit of bribery from Fortnite as well. But so mine is just some advice for me how to survive living in a house with 3 young extrovert boys.
Yes. Well, I empathise. A friend of mine is in a similar situation. She's got 3 extroverted boys of different ages as well. Now, I think it's more challenging now than ever, because my friend Alison would have typically been out doing something to kind of de-stress. But I think the most important thing is to create a little bit of time for you as best you can, and actually say, look, this is a bit of, because actually there's a lot of guilt around that. So I remember I learned to meditate after I became a parent, because I went from being really busy at work to, and actually I felt really guilty about asking for being able to meditate for 10 minutes. So do your best with that. If that's proving challenging, the other thing is to, there's a number of things I would say. Practice mindfulness. So whenever you find yourself getting frustrated, I found myself getting frustrated the day trying to open some coffee. And then I started laughing at myself, thought, this is ridiculous. Hang on, you're meant to be into personal development. Why are you getting frustrated about So focus on your breathing whenever you find yourself getting frustrated. The other big one is forgive yourself if you do react. Because we have frustration and guilt are an emotional cycle. So when we get angry and frustrated, we then feel guilty afterwards. And the guilt actually makes it more likely that we'll react like that again. So a real big one is to forgive yourself if you do react at any point. And the other final thing I would say is absolutely accept how you're feeling at any moment in time. Don't resist it. Whatever you resist persists. So if you accept, so I know when I'm feeling anxious, it's kind of oval shaped in my chest, but I know I can still be a decent version of myself while feeling anxious. So almost noticing where the discomfort is in the body and just being okay with it. A good thing to do is practice feeling the discomfort but not reacting, because then when you're focusing your attention on where the feeling is, you're not actually reacting from it, if that makes sense.
That's great advice, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. And I would definitely check out a book by some of the Eckhart Tolle stuff, but is really good. Power of Now is a good one, especially more prevalent now than ever.
Cool, thank you.
Great question, Becky. That was an awesome answer again. So we've got another one as well, actually. How do we stay motivated to doing schoolwork when there's no exams?
Oh, now the very nature of the question makes me suspect the person who's asked it has a high builder profile, so they're motivated by competition, winning, and performing well. So I've got a professional golfer I'm working with, same challenge. So he's motivated to compete, and he's got no tournaments until back end of June, maybe even further ahead.
Yeah.
So how is he maintaining his motivation, bearing in mind he's practicing every day? And one of the things that he's done is he's playing games with himself. So he's created his own competition. If you are somebody who needs, so what he's doing Zoom calls every week with his coach, and he's created some games that so they can measure the performance. So just because there's not an exam doesn't mean that there can't be some form of your own testing that you create. So, and as parents out there, if you're, and I know my son has a little bit of that motivation, so having some form of your own benchmark is really good. Equally, there'll be some children who are switched off by testing, and that would be not the right thing. So you play around with it and see what works.
Awesome. Awesome. Ebony, do you have a question?
Is there any way to find out if you're more introvert or extrovert?
Yes, well, there's a really simple way, and that's to answer this question really, is that when you want to recharge your batteries, when your energy is low, do you prefer to recharge your energy by being around other people, or do you prefer to recharge your batteries by kind of being on your own in your own space? So that's the simple question. So, and equally, if you chase Dale after this call, he can send you there's a series of questions that you can complete where you find out what your personality type is like to be. So if you answer that question yourself, that'll give you an indication. I know, actually, if I don't see anybody all day, I crave social attention. So I know extrovert is there, but if I have a busy day, then I want to be on my own. So I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. Whereas my mate, you speak to my best friend, Dan, and he has every single weekend booked for the whole year with social stuff. Now that tells me he's a flat out extrovert. So for you, if you think about actually when I'm trying to get more of my energy back and to feel, do I want to be on my own or do I want to be with other people? The answer to that will help you with that.
Brilliant question. Cheers, Ebony. Andrew, do you have a question? Andrew, do you have a question there, buddy? Mr. McIntosh?
No, not at the moment. I think we're just sort of listening in at the moment, Dale, just taking it all in.
Perfect.
I mean, I suppose I've got more couple of comments to add in, if I may.
Perfect.
Sorry, Kieran's just walked in my room as well. He's listening on in the other room.
Kieran, get out. Get out.
Yeah, I mean, I think with certain things that my boys do are sort of, they've followed my path a little bit in that they're both cathedral choristers in our local cathedral, and it's something that it was a choice for me to do. It's something I wanted to do, and it meant leaving my friends at the school that I was at in order to make that sort of life choice. And I presented the same sort of thing to my boys and said, look, if you want to do this, do it. If you don't want to do it, if you want to be with your friends, then fine. I mean, they still get to see their other friends, but and I think it's a lot of sort of these life choices. It's allowing them to make up their mind, trying to support them through through those decisions that they want to make. And if they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. You know, I think it's you know, that through the audition process for the choir, I said, it's up to you. Do you want to do it? Fine, you want to do it. Do you still want to do it? And as well as it's a commitment, and once they're committed, I feel that they should see it through in order to get there. Just allowing them that choice, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, choice is having, I think there's always that challenge as a parent, isn't there, knowing how much am I, because I'm massively into my cricket, so I'm kind of my son's showing some ability, and I'm like, oh, but then equally, so I want to. You just got to find that balance. Encourage, but it's that balance between encouraging and allowing our children to make their own choices. Absolutely.
I mean, absolutely, yeah. I mean, Kieran, for example, had to effectively give up rugby on a Thursday and a Sunday in order to fulfil cathedral commitments. But he knows that when his voice breaks, he can always go back to rugby if he wants to. And, you know, that's always something that he can pick up at another stage.
Yeah.
And it's just allowing them to make those choices as they want to at that time.
Absolutely.
And supporting them through it.
And a big thing that Dale picked up earlier was about being an encouraging presence and being okay with whatever the outcome is.
Yes.
Because that's the challenge, isn't it? That we've got to be, because young people will pick up on emotion. So we're making sure that what we say and our emotion, we remain emotionally neutral about whatever the outcome is. So yeah, really good conversation point.
Cool. Cheers, Andrew. Thank you for that. That's a good statement. Yes, and it in fact, very important considering parents, because I always said to Dad, why didn't you push me to do football? My father was an amazing football player, and I'm quite fit, but I just didn't like football. And I said, Dad, I'll be a professional now if you made me do it. But hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? Right? Yeah. Ollie, have you got a question, buddy? Not a question, mate? You've got Kit Kats. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Hang about. Is it lunch? It is lunchtime. You can have them. Well, okay. So I think Scott. Are you there, Scott? If you want to write something in the comments, please do. If you have a question, you can mute yourself. So yeah, Kieran, have you asked a question yet? No. Would you like one? No, you haven't. Yeah, we asked you before, and that's perfect. Cool. Okay, no worries. Excellent, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I've had an absolute blast. It's been really cool just to see a different side to Bevis. Actually, talking to a mixture, a beautiful combination of freely wanting to learn, aspirational kids, I'd say, and parents that are supportive and, you know, causing every directional purpose to help them find their goal, their purpose, their ambition. And I think that's absolutely beautiful and absolutely wonderful. And it's so cool to get an absolute master, in my eyes, to dedicate some of his time to help you guys out. So it's wonderful. Bevis, where can people find you, if that's okay?
Yeah, of course it is. Absolutely. So firstly, I just want to say thank you. I've really enjoyed today. It's been a breath of fresh air. I mean, I love my work, but I have never done anything like this. So it's outside my comfort zone, but I really enjoyed it. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to everybody on the call. So our business is Magenta Coaching Solutions, so they can find us online. We've mentioned the Youth Motivational Map. If that's of interest, actually, they can either find us at Magenta Coaching Solutions, or they can go through you, Dale, because I'll give you the link to the site. So either through directly to Magenta Coaching Solutions, or through Dale, and I'll give Dale the links to the youth map so that you've got access to that.
Perfect. Cool. There you go, guys. So you can find those there, and obviously Facebook. Did you mention?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook. So we've got Magenta Coaching Solutions, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm learning about all social media. I'm by far, as you know, Dale, I'm not an expert on that, but I'm learning.
You're actually on YouTube as well, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yes, and that's we're posting much more material on YouTube. Again, learning on that front since the lockdown. So it's got to remember to look at the camera. But yeah, we're getting there.
I feel as if I know more about your social media than you do, Bevis.
Well, you may well do, Dale. You might be looking for some guidance from you on that front. But there we go.
Awesome. So, as a parent, if you want to reach out to Bevis, that is probably one of the best ideas you could possibly have during this time. And as a child, yeah, absolutely, completely. I've loved every single one of it. I love how you're all expressing yourselves as well in your individual ways. You're listening, and you're having a conversation in the background as well to each of you, which is great. It's a lovely community, and I think that's really important, because when I was a teacher, talking about the peripheral thing, when I was a kid, I was daydreaming, and I got told off for it. And little did the teacher know that was telling me off. That's actually the best way to learn, because it's almost as if you're you're allowing information to come in. It's like your brain, your mind's opening. So there's a really, really cool technique for allowing information in and allowing yourself to be present, be calm, and be focused, ready for an exam, or even going through what you're going through right now. So yeah, again, there was absolute pleasure to have you on, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Happy.
Bye.